Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MMA Veteran Reuben Duran. Reuben, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for doing it. Reuben, you got a fight coming up August 7th at King of the Cage, Point of Impact. Since we're basically a week out from the fight, is all the hard sparring over with?
I actually got my last hard sparring day and training day tomorrow. After that, it's just about making the weight cut now.
I'm just curious, what does a typical sparring day look like for you?
Well, in our gym, we usually do something that I've never done at any other gym. We do strength and conditioning first before we spar, so that way when we spar, we're already like digging in deep, already exhausted, then having to spar like 3 to 4 rounds. So we'll do that first. We'll get our sparring rounds, and I'll either do pad work after that or do some drilling.
I see. Now, is this 16-ounce gloves, full helmet, shin guards, elbow pads, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'll wear 14-ounce boxing gloves, usually with shin guards. But we also do MMA sparring where I wear the 7-ounce MMA sparring gloves. Just to, obviously you can't compare a 4-ounce glove to a 14-ounce, boxing glove, you know what I mean? So we'll do MMA sparring where we don't throw as hard, but at least we're getting used to having a smaller glove being thrown at us, you know what I mean?
I see. And it's everything all together. It's full, just like a regular fight, or is it kind of just, okay, this round we're going to go just straight stand-up. This round we're going to mix in grappling. Is it all every round MMA, or is it?
No, we structure it. We'll do just kickboxing, and then we'll do kickboxing with takedowns, and then we'll do just boxing, and then we'll do boxing with takedowns. So it's structured. Being that we're so close to the fight, my last partner will probably just do boxing with takedowns, just because I don't want to end up getting hurt. You want to try to not get hurt your last sparring day, that's for sure.
Right. Are you still training out of Alliance MMA?
No, I'm back at the gym that I started. It's called Pinnacle Mixed Martial Arts.
Okay.
Redlands, California.
Just curious, why did you decide to make the switch back there?
Well, Pinnacle is just where I started my career. My head coach, my head coach Jake, some things had happened in his life where he wasn't able to be my coach for a while. But now that he was able to, I returned back home because just for me, he's just been the best head coach I've ever had. Really great, just strategizes really good. Is able to pick apart my opponents, and I win with him. That's just the bottom line. I win fights with him. So I made a move to come back to where I started, and because when I was there, I had the most success. So I just wanted to go back where I had the most success at.
Oh, I see. When exactly did you make the switch back there?
About a year ago.
Okay, I see. And Pinnacle, that's the place Bobby Green trains at, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Same place.
Bobby Green's my teammate. We've been teammates for, last 5-6 years.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Is Joe Boxer still there?
You know what? He pops in every now and then, but he stopped fighting. He just works full time now, man. But he tries to come in and say what's up and train a little bit. But he's just doing his own thing right now.
Oh, I see. I was wondering what happened to him, so just curious about that. Now, coming up on August 7th, you're going to be taking on Kana Hyatt. This is a rematch of a fight that happened before you were in the UFC. It was the fight that got you into the UFC back in August of 2010. So basically 4 years ago, you fought against Kana Hyatt. Now, your original opponent was supposed to be Anthony Figueroa. Are you disappointed that you're not stepping in the cage with Figueroa anymore?
Yeah, I am, because, I wanted to take the belt from the champ, but, it is what it is. And that's kind of, he stepped up to take the fight, so that's who I had to fight, and that's just who I'm going to focus on right now.
Is this still a 5-round fight for an interim title, or is it just 3 rounds?
It's a 3-round fight.
Okay. I was just curious about that. And Kana Hyatt, he's going to be the first opponent that you fought for a second time. This is your first rematch of your career. Are you surprised that he's the guy that you're rematching? You know, of all the opponents that you fought in the past, is this the guy that you thought you'd be having a rematch with of anyone you fought?
No, not at all.
Right.
I actually was surprised that this is who I'm going to end up fighting, because I actually just ran into him my last fight, and I mean, he was just the last person I expected to fight against. So I'm a little bit surprised, but, you know, part of the business, man, it is what it is. That's who my opponent is, and, you know, I'm going to focus all my energy back on him again.
Mm-hmm. I see. Just curious, what do you remember about the first fight? Obviously, you won. You submitted him in the first round. It was a good night for you. But besides that, what do you remember about the fight?
I mean, I know he's tough. I know he's a gamer. I'm not going to take him lightly. But I don't take anybody lightly as it is. So I'm going to go in there and put my game plan to work. I know what exactly I want to do, and I'm just going to go in there and impose my will on him, and I'm going to take that victory.
Mm-hmm. How much film have you watched on him as of late? You know, obviously 4 years was the last time you guys fought, and 4 years in this sport, I mean, 4 years is a long time in any sport, but in this sport, with it changing every day and it evolving all the time, it's an eternity, really. So have you watched a lot of his fights, and what do you think about his recent work?
Yeah, I now that I knew I was fighting him again, I wanted to check him out to see what new things he was doing, what things he was still doing. But, you know, he's a different fighter. I know I'm definitely a different fighter. So we both grew in other places and gained strength in other places. But, you know, I'm just confident in my ability. I'm confident in what I can do. And, you know, I'm just going to go on there and do what I do. Put my game plan together, keep composed, stay focused, and then go and get this win.
Mm-hmm. With you defeating him in the past, you have the psychological advantage in the regard of you know you can beat him and he knows he can lose to you, but on the other hand, he lost the last fight, so he has a lot more to improve on and a lot more tweaks to his game. What do you think is the greater advantage, the psychological or the, you know, in-cage stuff that he can improve on? You know, who has the advantage?
You know, the advantage can go either or. Sometimes when your back's against the wall, you perform better. But we all know, you know, a fight is 80% mental. You know, if I'm in his head, it's good, but I'm not worried about it too much. You know, whether we fight or not, I'm still confident in my ability. And, you know, he's got something to prove. I know I have something to prove. What I need to prove is that I need to prove that the reason why I was in the UFC is because I'm just a better fighter.
Mm-hmm. I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. Now, Conor Hyatt, he had a little bit of a run at 125. He's coming back up to 135 to fight you. Will that be an advantage? Because in the past, he talked about when he stepped in with guys like you and Jared Papazian and some of the other 35ers, he was at a big disadvantage in weight. Do you expect that to be an advantage for you in this fight?
No, I'm actually dropping to 25.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm coming down to his weight class. Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't be fighting. I know he made the drop. For me, 25 has always been in my plan, but it wasn't. You know, the time has come for me to drop to 25. I know people think I'm a big 35er, and I'm a decent size 35er, but what people don't know is I try to keep muscle on to stay strong and big at 35s. Where this is my first weight cut at 25, and this is where I plan on making my run going back in the UFC. Is at 25.
Oh, okay. So now it's all starting to make sense here. Because I was surprised because he said in the past that he never wanted to take a fight at 35 again, and so I was a little bit. And plus, King of the Cage, they do their weights are a little bit different. I mean, it's the same weights, but bantamweight. Chris Coley's fighting. I can't remember who his opponent is, but he's a 145er, but it's for the bantamweight title because they don't have a featherweight class. So I was getting confused here, but all right, I'm on the same page now. Anyways, Reuben, your last fight back in June, you fought against Tony Sanchez. You picked up a win by TKO. You were coming off a year layoff. Just curious, what led to this year layoff? Were you bit by the injury bug again?
Yeah, I had to get my second shoulder surgery done. I pretty much fought all my UFC fights with the torn rotator cuff. And then after after my last fight for the UFC, I went ahead and fixed it just because of what was torn. They just told me that I won't. I physically cannot have the same punching power unless I fixed it. So at that point, I made a decision to get it fixed because, I'm more known for having my power, and, I just wanted to make sure that I was able to get that back.
I see.
So I took my year, I fixed it, took my time coming back, and now I'm just here to make my run and show these guys why I belong at the top.
Was that the main thing that went wrong during your UFC run? Because you were never really healthy throughout it. Because, one thing, it was a shoulder, then it was a knee, then it was back to a shoulder. You always had some sort of injury you were dealing with. Was that the main thing that went wrong in the UFC, or was there another thing that led you on this 1-3 run that you had there?
No, absolutely. Because of the injuries, I don't want to make up his excuses, but I dealt with an ACL surgery, shoulder surgery that I was trying to rehab and still trying to compete at that top level, and it was just difficult to go and compete at that top level when you got something like, it wasn't just like a sprained ankle. Like, I had 4 tears in my rotator cuff both times, and definitely hindered my game, and that's just why right now I'm just on a mission to prove to them that's where I belong. That I know I'm better than a lot of those guys in there, and I just want to be able to prove that.
So that's the main goal here. Get some wins on the regional circuit and make it back to the UFC. You don't have any interest in Bellator, World Series of Fighting, or any of those organizations. Right now you're only on a quest to get back to the UFC?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just curious, are you more hungry now that you've had that taste of the big show to get back there than you were originally trying to make it to the UFC when you started your career? Are you more hungry now because you had that taste of what it's like to be in the UFC?
Yeah, absolutely, because now the difference is I know I belong there, where before I wasn't too sure. I remember when UFC signed me, I had the least amount of fights on the whole roster, and was just unsure, confident, but still, never been tested against someone at that level. Now that I've had a taste of it, I just know now 100% that's where I belong.
Right. You had a very tough run opponent-wise, and obviously there's that old saying, well, there's no easy fights in the UFC. Everyone in the UFC is a killer, and if you look at your record, that statement backs it up, whether it's George Roop or Hugo Wolverine or Francisco Rivera or Takeya Mitsugaki. Everyone there is very tough. So looking back on it now, you came in on short notice against Mitsugaki and gave him a very tough fight, a very close fight. Looking back on it now, was that a fight that you were unsure of going into? Was that a fight where you're like, yeah, maybe I'm not ready, maybe I am ready? Were you having doubts going into that one?
Absolutely. When I fought Takeya, he was ranked 6th in the world, and then, yeah, definitely. I was just, like, okay, I want to be a UFC fighter. I got to go in there and prove it. But yeah, man, he was a scary dude back then. Known for his striking, and so all I did when I took that short notice fight was work on my striking, and but I went to that fight coming off my first knee surgery, so I really wasn't able to do any grappling, and it showed in that fight. But the one thing that proved to me was, I stood there, went toe to toe with one of the most scariest guys on the feet, and did better in the striking exchanges than he did. Going to the third round, he knew and I knew he had to score some takedowns to seal that deal, because it was going back and forth, and just my wrestling and my grappling just wasn't on point that night, and he was able to exploit that, and it showed. So, but after that fight, I just remember thinking, like, dang, I ain't do too bad at all.
Right. Now, I'm just curious, were there any fights that you went into healthy in the UFC?
That first, when I fought Takeya, say I was the healthiest I was, even though I was coming up from knee surgery. It was just meniscus. It wasn't anything too serious. It was just a couple months prior to that fight. But that first fight in the UFC was the healthiest I was that whole entire UFC run.
Oh.
When I fought Cisco, I tore my rotator cuff 2 weeks before that fight. Fixed it, and then during that shoulder surgery layoff, I had ACL done too. But before I even came back to fight Hugo, I dislocated my shoulder and re-tore everything. It was really hindering me during my camp, but we still did it anyways. And I kind of wish I took time to let it heal, but it is what it is. I can't take it back, and that's why I'm just more hungry now to go back and just prove to everybody this is where I belong. Like, I'm better than what I've already shown, and I know I can do more for the sport.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, you had that year layoff in between the Sanchez fight and the George Roop fight. During that year layoff, obviously injuries caused it, but was there some soul-searching you did in that time off?
After the George Roop fight?
Yeah, when they released you.
Yeah, that's when I moved back to my team, to the team that I originally was. That whole UFC career is when I didn't have my head coach, and I think it showed my career's been doing kind of roller coaster since he wasn't my head coach. Mm-hmm. But now that during that time, that's when I made the decision that I needed to go back to where I was winning, and I was winning with my team with Pinnacle, and went back to my team, and then I felt really good going into my last fight. Mm-hmm. Definitely the best I felt in a long time, mm-hmm. and went out there and had a dominant performance. And that's just where I'm at right now. I feel great, feel confident in my ability, and I'm ready to go next Thursday and put on another great show. Mm-hmm. And not just win, but win decisively.
Right. Now, when you left Pinnacle and went to Alliance, what were you searching for? Were you under under that certain, I don't know what the word is for it, but there's a lot of these fighters out there who believe that they need to be on a part of a big team, and they need to be training with all these high level guys all the time, and they get sucked into being in this big gym, and where they might not get the same attention that they would get at a smaller gym. And it kind of worked against you there, because like you said, you were winning at the smaller gym, and then when you get to the bigger gym, the success didn't go your way. What were you searching for when you decided to make the switch in your training?
Exactly what you just said. I feel like when you're at a smaller gym and you're having such success, you just questions start going on in your head. You're just like, well, if I'm having this much success in the smaller gym, I'm going to have even more success in a bigger gym with more killers and better training partners and all that stuff. You know what I mean? And at that point, I really wanted to improve my wrestling. So the reason why I chose Alliance is I knew they were a wrestling-based gym. And I really wanted to I knew my wrestling had to be on point to compete at the UFC level. So that's one of the reasons why I chose that gym. But more than anything, I chose it to go and experience it and try to learn as much as I could. But yeah, it was exactly like that. It just felt like I might have a little more success. And you have awesome, training partners. You couldn't ask for better training partners, that's for sure. But when you're in a big lake like that, it's just really hard to get the attention. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's pros and cons there. Then to a smaller gym, you might get all the attention, but you don't have those hard training partners. But then you start realizing as your career you start doing more, get more experience in it, that you can always bring people in that you need specifically for who it is you're fighting. And that's the one thing that I've really learned, that when you're fighting someone, everything you do needs to be specifically for that one person. So it does you no good to go there and spar with 20 different styles. You know what I mean?
Right.
You bring in the guy that mimics the guy that can resemble and mimic the guy that you're fighting, and it's between that and great coaching and great strategy, and that's how you win fights. And it is hard to get that at a big gym. Mm-hmm. But our Pinnacle gym has grown a lot this last year, and now I don't have any trouble getting the right training. So now I feel great. I feel really good, really confident. Our team is grown to where it needs to be, and now I'm just on a mission. To get back there and just show these guys what I can do. And I'm making that drop to 25. and I just think that I'm going to be able to showcase that at 25.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, your UFC run wasn't all bad. You did defeat Francisco Rivera by third-round submission at the Ultimate Fighter 13 finale. You actually won a bonus that night. You got the submission of the night. Take me back to that fight. What was that night like for you?
Oh man, that was a great night. Okay, well, that particular fight. What I got out of that was the first time I really felt like a vet. I felt like it started rough. Everything that can go wrong went wrong. I had a hard weight cut. I really didn't get to warm up. They came in to give me a 15-minute warning that I was going to come up, and I started warming up, and I rolled my ankle. So I didn't even get to warm up. I spent my warm up, did my ankle wraps. I remember limping to the cage and just kind of freaking out, but then just trying to stay focused and everything you can do at that moment. Went in there, but see, the thing about Cisco, I had a little bit of history with Cisco. I was supposed to fight him a couple times way before UFC, and we were both just starting out. So I kind of knew. I knew about Cisco. I knew his style. I knew what he was good at. I knew what he was capable of. He fought my teammate Aaron Arana at a smaller show. So, it's one of the things that we're supposed to fight in, and now we get to fight, but we get to fight in the biggest show in the world, the UFC. With that being said, we went into that fight, and I just knew what I had to do. I knew Cisco was a hard puncher, but I just knew that at that moment, his grappling and his wrestling's a lot better now, but I just knew at that moment that's where his weakness was. So I exploited that. I wanted to make him wrestle to try to take some of his power off, try to wear him out a little bit, and then get the submission. But with the shoulder, it just made it made that fight a lot harder than it definitely had to be, just because I didn't have that power. I had to do it very technically. I had to be technical in that fight, and just thank God it worked out for me, and I got the victory. And I was just happy that I got my first win in the UFC, let alone to get the submission of the night. So that was just a great night for me.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, I mean, you don't have to say if you don't want to, but what'd you end up doing with the money, the bonus money?
I gave a handful of it to my parents, or my mom, I should say, and just saved it, man. I opened up a Merrill Lynch account, and one put some money in the retirement. You just always hear about these stories, these fighters who just end up broke, and I just didn't want to be that statistic. I didn't want to get done fighting and not have anything to show for it. So I actually put a good chunk of change away in a retirement account.
I see. Now, I'm just curious, did you get any of those hidden bonuses that we always hear about? Sometimes the UFC, they throw guys some money. I mean, some guys that get the bonus, there's, other guys who are worthy of a bonus on that night. Did you ever get any other money on the side besides bonus money or your actual fight purse?
On that night, I didn't get anything on the back end, but on the other fights, I got like $3,000 in the back end.
Okay.
A little extra something. But that particular night, I think they figured that the bonus was enough.
Okay. I hear you. Now, you started fighting professionally in May of 2006, and by March of 2011, you were fighting in the UFC. So that's basically 5 years it took for you to make it to the UFC. And then your UFC run lasted 2 years, March of 2011 to March of 2013. So I'm just curious, what's harder? Is it harder to make it to the UFC, or is it harder to stay in the UFC?
Oh, I mean, that's an easy question. It's not that hard to get there. The hardest part is staying there, for sure. I feel like you have to be finishing fights to get there, because at the end of the day, we're entertainers. Nobody wants to see a wrestling match, a jiu-jitsu match. Everyone wants to see someone get hurt, and that's just, as much as that sucks, that's just the truth. So if you're in there, finishing fights, you don't have to just be a striker, but if you're in there and if you're a wrestler, but you're in there picking people up or suplex them, they just want to be entertained. And I definitely feel like it helps you if you're going in there and you're finishing fights. But But again, you don't have to necessarily be finishing. If you can do it in the entertaining, if you can win in the entertaining way, that's the fastest route to the big show. Because at the end of the day, we're entertainers. People want to see a show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I was taking a look at your record, and I noticed that when fights have gone to a decision, you're 1-3 in those fights. And you know what's surprising about the one in that 1-3 is the one fight that you actually won by decision. You had an injury. You tore 2 ligaments in your hand, and you were still able to come away with the victory. So I'm just curious. Have you looked at this? Have you noticed that when fights go to a decision, they haven't gone your way?
Yeah, and that's just why we all hear them say don't leave it in the hands of the judges. Mm-hmm. Even with for example, my last fight with not my last fight, but my last fight in the UFC with George Roop, I felt like I still won that fight. I don't know how they gave him a unanimous decision. The first round, he got rocked, he got picked up, he got slammed. I scored more takedowns than he did. I guess it really matters who's judging it. Some judges favor striking, some judges favor wrestling. But I remember in that fight, it sucks because at the third round, I gave him the third round. I don't want to say anything, but just because I was fighting that third round with one arm, and I was just neutralizing him, and I was trying to making sure I kept his back on the cage, just because I know that if you get a score points, it's kind of a crappy way to try to win a fight. But when you're injured, you got to do what you got to do. And I didn't agree with that decision, but like I said, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, Reuben, what's the plan in the the present time? Obviously, the end goal is to make it to the UFC, but are you just hoping to stick around with King of the Cage, work your way to capturing their title, and then make that jump to the UFC, or are you open to bouncing around from regional show to regional show? Obviously, there's RFA, Legacy, Tachi Palace, and Titan that are known feeders to the UFC. Are you looking to bounce around from promotion to promotion, or are you comfortable sticking with King of the Cage and trying to make a run for their belt?
Yeah, King of the Cage has always been good to me, and I really do like their show. Like, their show is a nice show. It is where I started, and I was happy to go back to UFC. To King of the Cage, because that's where it started for me. That's where my name started, developing was in King of the Cage. I think King of the Cage does a really good show at promoting their fighters. So I am happy with King of the Cage, and if I'm not in King of the Cage, it's because I'm back in the UFC.
I see. It's good to hear that you're happy fighting for a promotion that you fought in the past for, because there's guys, Joe Riggs, it comes to mind. He did an interview a long time ago where he was, so mad at himself because he was back fighting in Rage of the Cage, and that's when he started his career. And obviously he fought in the UFC, fought in Strikeforce, he fought in all these big shows, and then 3-4 years later he's fighting in a small show that he fought for back in the 1990s. So it's good to hear that you're happy to be with King of the Cage.
Yeah, and for me, I just know because sometimes it's just really great to go back to your roots, kind of restart, reset, and then go back to where, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm going back to King of the Cage. That's where it started for me. That's where my roots began. So I'm going to go walk that path again, but do it right. Things are different for me now. I feel like a vet. I'm much more experienced, and I'm going to do what I need to do with King of the Cage, and then when I'm done there, I'm going back to UFC, and I'm going to finish my career in the UFC. So I'm happy to come back here, but I know for me it's not where I'm going to end. I'm not going to end my career in King of the Cage, but it's definitely the starter point. I'm just restarting again. So right now I'm just looking at myself as 1-0. I'm going to go in this fight next Thursday and become 2-0. And I'm going to keep winning from there. Hopefully that leads me back to the UFC. And again, I'm going to finish out my career in the UFC.
Now, you're 31 years old, and in my opinion, I feel that that's when a mixed martial artist is in their prime, because yes, you're not 22, 23 years old anymore, and you don't have, the raging testosterone, and you don't have the quick recovery time, but you're 31, and you're grown up, you're a man, you've learned from losses you've had in the past. You have a lot more fights than you had when you were 4 or 5 years younger. You've learned from experiences both in the cage and outside of the cage. Do you feel right now you're in the prime of your career?
I don't yet. For me, it's just weird to me, because my head coach has been telling me this since I was 24, that for some reason he has the number 32 stuck in his head. He thinks that he's told me this since I was 24 that he thinks that my prime will be from like 32 to 36 is what he's telling me. I like to believe that, but I still don't think that I'm in my prime, because I'm not the best fighter I know I can be yet.
Mm-hmm. How much do you think you've shown, based on your previous fights of your career? How high is your ceiling? How much more do you have to give in your career?
I have a lot to give. I have a really good ground and pound game that I really haven't been able to showcase my ground and pound in the UFC. I have such a vicious style ground and pound that I've yet to really show everybody. And with every fight, based on who it is I'm fighting, I want to showcase something a little bit new, a little bit different with every fight. I don't fight every fight the same. When they think I want to strike, they're going to get taken down. They think I want to take them down, I'm going to strike. So I'm always mixing it up, and with every fight that I do have, I'll be able to showcase everything that I have to offer.
Mm-hmm. On August 7th, will it be a letdown if you don't finish Conor Hyatt the way you did in the first fight?
What matters to me is getting that W, but I'm not going in there to go 3 rounds with them. I am looking for the finish. I'm confident in my ability that I will get that finish.
Reuben, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to my sponsor, Triumph United, and thank you to my other sponsor, AASI, and just thank you all my fans. I love all the support. It definitely makes it easy to keep doing it when you have so much love and support, and that's it. Just thank you guys.
Reuben, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck August 7th at King of the Cage, Point of Impact against Conor Hyatt.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.